What's going on, everybody? My name is Cakey C and welcome back to the channel. Drop a like on the video, guys, for that opening clip. That AX50 is crazy. I'll run you through that AX50 class setup later on in the video. And as you can already probably tell by the title, we're talking about sniping. I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks to improve your sniping. I'm going to run you through a couple of controller settings that help sniping, and I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to practice your sniping in your own time. Before we get into all of that, we need to go back to basics. We're going to look at Sniping 101. We're going to touch on the different types of sniping shots and some of the tips that you can do to make your sniping better. And with that being said, let's get into it. So let's have a look at the different type of shots you can make with a sniper. First up, we have the infamous hard scope. This, guys, will most likely be the first type of sniper shot that you actually learn to use. All the other variants are just a quicker and faster version of the hard scope. And what a hard scope is when you aim in towards your enemy and hold your breath for an extended period of time to get that shot spot on and to make sure you don't miss. Now, hard scope's got a bit of a bad name for itself. Back in the Modern Warfare 2 days, if you were caught hard scoping, you would then receive an onslaught of abuse from enemy players. There's a couple of videos online that will tell you that you don't want to be hard scoping. It's not that you don't want to be hard scoping, you just want to try and avoid using it as much as possible. And that's purely so you don't become that annoying hard scoping player that's going to camp somewhere. This is an extremely effective way to make a shot with a sniper from long range. Next up, we have quickscoping. Now, I'm sure you know plenty about this, but a quickscope is just a much faster version of a hard scope. And as you can see in the video, you're aimed in for the least amount of time possible to get the shot off. Now, the trick with quickscoping has always been to point the gun directly at the enemy that you want to try and hit. In previous Call of Duties, this has meant getting the crosshairs on them before you aim down the sight and take the shot. This Call of Duty is slightly different. We've been given a small dot to show us where that gun is aiming, and you can use the dot to your advantage and point the gun directly at your enemy. So then when you aim in, it's going to go exactly where you want it to go, and hopefully you're not going to need to drag the scope too far. Now, the way you avoid drag scoping, especially if someone's moving, which online they most likely will be, is to anticipate where they're going to go. Usually if they're running forward, you can just put that dot slightly in front of them, and then by the time you aim down the sight, hopefully they would have run into the sight, and then you can take the shot. But sometimes you can't avoid the need to drag the scope, which leads us nicely on to our next shot, the drag scope. Now, as we've just mentioned, the drag scope is where you've aimed in slightly off center. You need to drag the scope back towards the enemy to take the shot. Now, with drag scoping, guys, it might be affected by your sensitivity. If you're using a very, very high sensitivity, you might be dragging too far. If you're using a sensitivity too low for you, you might be not dragging enough and being killed by the time your sight makes it there. And we'll mention sensitivity later on in the video. But with drag scoping, guys, it purely comes from practice. It's actually quite hard to record an intentional drag scope. Usually a drag scope is just a quick reaction to get that bullet going straight where you want it to go. So sorry it looks a bit weird, guys. I'm always aiming slightly off center and then trying to drag it in. The last type of sniper shot is a no scope. In the gameplay at the start of the video, the no scope is actually quite an effective way to kill people at point blank range. Most of the time, it's going to be sort of calculated luck, but with no scoping, you can have the dot directly on the enemy and still miss. That's not to say it doesn't look really cool, and if you're lucky, it can be a very effective way to get some shots off. So why did we need to look at all those different types of shots? Well, if we play the opening clip again and analyse each and every shot, the first shot is a no scope, the second shot is a drag scope, the third shot is a quick scope, the fourth shot is another no scope, and the fifth shot is another quick scope. And in the space of 5 shots, I've used all of the different types of shots that we've just been through to get that clip. And that's the trick to good sniping in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's to have all of those shots in your arsenal, ready to use at any time that you need to. Now that we've touched on the different type of shots there is and why they're important, we're going to jump into the menu and have a look at some controller settings. So I keep everything standard: button layout, stick layout, aim response curve type, and the ADS sensitivity. The one option I recommend you guys have a play around with is the stick sensitivity, both horizontal and vertical. You want to find the nice middle ground between too slow and too fast. And as we mentioned earlier in the video, if you're trying to do a drag scope and your sensitivity is too high, you're going to drag it too far and miss the shot. If it's too slow, you're not going to drag it far enough and you're going to miss the shot. Start off slow, guys, work your way up from 6 or 7, find that sensitivity that works for you. Everybody's going to be different. The only other thing that I change is the controller vibration. Again, this is personal preference. I've just gotten used to playing Call of Duty without controller vibration. So now that you've had a play around with your sensitivity, you can head over to the general settings. Now on general, the world motion blur and the weapon motion blur, as you can see there, this is going to be when you turn the gun itself. Does it blur the background or does it not? I've played with both, I've given them both a try. I much prefer to have them enabled just because it makes the game feel slightly more real again. If you take them off, it might feel like your shots are more on target, more precise, but it feels like you regress about 10 years in the game's graphics. So that's why I personally prefer to keep them on. If you play a few games and you like it without, then that's fine, guys. I don't think it's going to affect your gameplay that much, but again, the settings are down to preference. I'm just showing you what I currently use, and that's it for the settings. Once you've sorted out your settings and you're happy with them, you can then set up the class that you're going to use to try and improve your sniping. There are two types of long range rifles that you can use: the sniper rifles or the marksman rifles. Again, down to personal preference. I tend to use the sniper rifles more. Feels a bit more traditional for me. I get along with them slightly better. If you want to use a marksman rifle, that's fine. They're a little bit more grindy to get down to the sniper scope variables, but there is a quick trick I'll show you now where you can unlock one of the KAR98K blueprints straight away. You can head over to the store, scroll to the bottom, under COD points in the franchise store section. It'll show you the options to buy the COD points. Underneath that will be the options to buy any of the league packs, and then under them there's a miscellaneous section with a combat pack. Now this, guys, is absolutely free. As you can see on the right here, it includes a legendary marksman rifle blueprint, which I'll show you back in the loadouts now. And there it is, the legendary open season marksman rifle blueprint. As we're talking about classes, I'm just going to run you quickly through the class that I was using to get those clips at the start of the video. On my sniper class, I'm using the Witching Hour AX50, a Guard 1 handgun, cold-blooded, ghost and tracker, and the lethal is a throwing knife and the tactical is a flash grenade. So let's have a look at this AX50. I'm not using a muzzle. Most of them will actually decrease your aim down sight speed, so I just try and avoid that. I'm using the 17-inch factory barrel. It's the only one that provides that aim down sight speed, and this is what this gun's all about. Obviously, guys, we're using the TAC laser. Again, you can see it on the screen. Aim down sight speed, aiming stability. I'm not using an optic. I prefer the standard scope, but I do know the Cronin is quite good to sort of mimic that old Modern Warfare ACOG scope sight. For the stock, I'm using the Singard Arms Assassin. The other two don't provide any aim down sight speed increase, so I just don't see them as viable for this class. No under barrel and no ammunition. Rear grip is the stippled grip tape. Guys, broken record here. It's just for the aim down sight speed. And finally, sleight of hand, just so you can change that mag out quickly and get back in the fight. And there we have it. That's the AX50 class. So a quick recap, guys, on what we've looked at. We've looked at the type of shots there are and how they can be used. We've looked at some controller and general settings that will help you snipe. And we've looked at a good versatile class that's built for aiming down sight speed. The final tip I can give you on how to improve your sniping in Call of Duty Modern Warfare is to practice in custom games against bots. I know what you're thinking, guys, playing against bots, that's not going to help. This is one of the oldest tricks in the books to improve your gameplay. You can start off at recruit, work your way up through regular, hardened, and then finally veteran. It's a fantastic way just to warm up before a few games online, or it's a fantastic way just to even start afresh and teach yourself how to snipe in this game. So what you're going to do is pick a small map, not too small like Shipment where it's just going to be crazy. You want to pick a small map, and I tend to like having a little bit of elevation as well. So the map I choose is Rust. It's perfect for this, guys. There's lots of hiding spots where you can surprise the bots. There's a little bit of elevation. You can get around the map. It's not too big and it's not too small. You can either pick team deathmatch, domination or hardpoint. I would stick with team deathmatch, it's the simplest form and you're not going to have any respawning times. You're not going to have any bots trying to cap a flag or anything, so just stick with team deathmatch. The game rules. You can have a time limit on it if you want, but I tend to put it on unlimited just so I can take my time, I don't have to rush. The score limit I tend to put on 30. 30 kills is not too long, but it's not too short as well. If you put it on 20, you'll be out of the match in no time. If you put it on 40 or 50, by the end of it, you'll be worn out. And then finally, bot setup. You don't want any friendly bots, you need to stay solo, and you can put as many enemy bots as you want. I tend to go for the max number of 6, and then the bot difficulty is where you choose how well the bots are going to play against you. If you're starting to feel untouchable in the recruit, move up to regular. Again, you can move up to hardened, and then you can move up to veteran. And by the time you get up to veteran, guys, the best veteran bots are probably going to be as good as some medium to subpar online players. So veteran is really the last step before you go on to online then. To wrap up the video, guys, sniping in Call of Duty is hard, and to get good at it, you have to understand it. You have to know the type of shots to use and when to use them, the various different settings that are going to help you, and the different types of guns that are going to be good to use. And don't forget, to get good at sniping in Call of Duty, it takes practice. The more you snipe, the better you'll get. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If any of my tips and tricks helped you with your sniping, leave a comment below and tell me what was useful. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Call of Duty content.